So this is the image that were provided by the Crown Prosecution Service, Leicestershire police case against me. This is the original copy they gave me. I don't think I printed it out off a file. I think they just sent me the actual picture in on paper. Now I have printed out a copy of it, but this copy, it's got some creases in it from where it's been in my folder, and I have, if you see on it here, there has been a couple of spill marks on it, but those spill marks definitely are only in 3 areas, and you can see the lines that come out from them. So it's easy to distinguish what those spill marks are and how they affect the page from the back of it. So ignoring the spill marks and knowing where they are, looking at the actual detail of the picture, the first thing you notice is that they've actually had it on a computer and they've actually added to it. So it's not an untouched, unedited photo. This picture has been in a software where they've added arrows and a speech box which they've put van in, which that was me there, but at that point I'd stopped. The problem with these angle of photos is that they truncate distance, so they make distances look a lot shorter than they are. If you look at this site here and the area in question from above, a bird's eye view shot, it's actually over a very, very long distance. The first cone you can see is there, the other one's out of the shot, and then we can't see anything around here. So we know to start with that this picture has actually been opened in software. So it's actually been opened in software and it's been added to. It's had these arrows on. So these are digital changes. So we know that this photo's been in software with digital changes. Now, I actually believe that this line here, this lighter area that you can see, it goes lighter here as well. And I don't think that that's to do with the stains from the paper. The lightness goes here and here. Now, their claim is that there'd been a fire and the road had got burned, or a vehicle fire, and they'd had to clean up after it, right? My evidence is that there was actually nothing wrong with the road at all, and there was no indication that anything had happened whatsoever, and there was nothing wrong or out of place with the surface of the road, right? They're saying that they've been cleaning the road. Now, if there would have been a fire or flames, you would have thought to have seen burning or the road burned, and there's no evidence on this at all. Now, if they cleaned the road, I don't think that this is chemicals that they've put on the road at all. Firstly, this whole line here and this whole kind of colouring is lightened, and also they're saying that there was something wrong with the texture of the road, which doesn't make sense, because they wouldn't dig the road, they wouldn't change the surfacing of the road or resurface it and have it like this, particularly from there. This is not surfacing issues, because if this was surfacing issues, there would actually be shade around the edges of where this pattern is here. There would be shading, because when you've got a pattern in tarmac like this, the light catches it and it would be a lot more highlighted and shadowed. And this is lighter, not darker. If it had been burned, it would be darker. And whatever chemicals they used, it don't make sense for it just to start here with a sharp line. And notice around these feet there, it's been left blank. Why would it be left blank there? And the consistency of it doesn't make sense. Also, some of this colouring that changes goes onto there, which you can't drive on there with that. So I think this has been photoshopped. I think that they've put a filter over it on the computer, and I think that they've saved it to make the roads actually look distressed and messy. Now, but that was one of the points that I got convicted on, that it was unsafe and not fit to drive on. And as I don't think there's anything wrong with the road at all whatsoever. Now, as for this route, they're saying that I came in straight sideways and kind of drove at and through them, which is completely untrue. Firstly, I was in file. I was actually in file with the traffic, and there was all space in between us all. And all I did is, as the cars weren't going that fast anyway because they were all in line, and all I did is, after I got past here, and the distance from here to there is a lot more than it looks on here. All the distances are truncated. These distances are very, very, very truncated, so it looks a lot shorter than it actually really was. I went around and then in between the cones at the other side of here, and then drove up a completely clear slip road and then came to a stop. And I don't actually believe that in the time that happened, they'd got a chance to even take a still photograph. I believe that the only thing they could have done is got their phones out and filmed it. And I think this is a still. I think that they've got this from the video footage and just chose a point what they could use somehow. So I definitely wouldn't have driven between these people and round there on this side. No one would attempt it at all. And it's just not possible. The distance the cones are between each other and so forth, it just wasn't possible. And no one would actually attempt that. I was going with the cars like here, and then I timed it to go through the cones and then slow right down. It actually was agreed that the speed actually that I came through was only at 20 mile an hour eventually. That's what they claimed. So this is not like a high speed event. And then I drove up the slip road and then came to a complete stop, because all the signs were not actually displaying that this junction was closed, only one lane. At no point were we told that the junction was closed. And on the legend signs and so forth, it's supposed to tell you that a junction's closed, not just a lane, because you can have lanes closed and junctions open. And remember that at this point, I'd already gathered a lot of evidence for illegal road signage confirmed all around England and had a lot of it changed. So I had grounds for things not being done properly. I actually think that they knew where I was going on that day, and I think the whole thing was a setup, but that's beyond the context of the case, really. So they gave false statements about the way that I went. They said that I come this way when I went that way, and that makes all the difference because they wouldn't have been in danger or at a risk of danger. It's just, initiative of a person who is actually considerate and caring. When they sent the first letter through, they said that it was an accusation of either driving without due care or attention or dangerous driving, and they actually didn't even make out which it was in the letter. It was stating either or. So I think they were trying to lure me in to give evidence and then try and get me for the higher charge, which the dangerous driving one comes with a driving ban and a retake of the test, which if you don't have to have a driving test again, then you can't drive again unless you retake your test. No one else actually reported anything, and it literally, it's like driving in single file with equal distance between everyone. So we've got these two guys, I don't know if it's these exact two, but the ones who gave evidence were Gordon Queen and Michael Pagella, and they both gave false statements in court, written down and stated. So firstly, this is impossible to have happened, and it wouldn't have happened this way. All the distances and stuff is just not true. And also the fact that I was, I've been doing this Bentcup.biz investigation and the police were aware of me. I just think they wanted to get me because of my campaign. And I truly believe now, I didn't actually at the time, but this area here, it just doesn't make sense when you think about it. When you think about, apparently there being some sort of fire and they'd have to clean up after it. What we're looking at here and appearing on here, it's just not, it doesn't make logical sense. And I think that they've dropped, they've dressed this on a computer, probably at the same time as they added these arrows, because we know that it's been into, so it's actually been into a program, and so we know that it's actually been in a computer program to have these arrows added, and for that reason, whether or not they showed the police it without the arrows or after, and remember, it's most definitely been in software. If it had never been anywhere near software, then I wouldn't accuse them of it. But the fact that it looks dressed and added to, and it's actually been in software, is very strong evidence that it's been dressed, this picture. So Gordon Queen and Michael Pagella give complete false evidence. The amount of time from when I got the first letter through till when it went to court was about 12 months. So they had loads and loads and loads of time to get the story right and sort out photos and things like that. And I applied to Highways England and the Department of Transport because there actually were some cameras up on posts and they never ever gave me any video footage or anything at all. I think they were withholding it and did not give me evidence that could have proved otherwise. I wasn't actually filming it either myself, which usually I was filming, like with a dash cam. So that's what I ended up getting convicted of, which has ended up, I ain't been driving now for about I think it's about 4 years now or something. Time's gone quick, and then there was all the COVID lockdown. So, and unless I clear my name, I don't get my driving license back unless I retake my test, and I passed it first time. So for me, I was very proud of passing my driving test first time. So it was really a bit of a knock to my pride, really. And actually, there's nothing that you're doing more than actually you need to put the maximum amount of care and attention into your driving when you're doing things like this, because you need to keep yourself safe as well as other people. So it's just a complete and total insult. One of the guys who gave evidence in court, Queen. He was a steroid abuser as well. He was all steroided up. It was clear that you don't get to the physique that he had without taking steroids. So, and the other fact is that I'd already been claiming the petition case, and I'd already been investigating. And under the law, people can't intervene in obstructing investigation. And under the right to petition and in pursuit of an inquiry, as a witness, when you're investigating, you're the first primary witness. Particularly when it's your investigation and you're the person who's got all the evidence, you are the information, so you've got immunity in your case. And also now it turns out that in the early dangerous driving enactments, there's special reasons not to convict as well. At a later stage, they removed it. But I actually got special reasons. My judge actually gave special reasons to have a hearing that was not part of the trial or charges, and it's impossible to end up in such a civil hearing if there's no way to do it. Through the overriding objectives, exercising rights as well, which when the police are taking on witnesses and they have assisting offenders, which is basically taking witnesses onto their side who fall under immunity, it's the same principle in law. And it's exercised through the overriding objectives of the criminal procedure rules. All the drug acts and so forth don't actually particularly say anything about any special reasons not to convict. It all comes through. It doesn't come through the particular act you're being charged with. Usually, it just comes through the procedure rules, which affects all cases being brought. When police take on informers and so forth, it all comes through rights. So the thing is that my right could have been validated, and it very nearly was. But my judge who heard my rights claim, he actually did not contest anything about my investigation or findings. He said he had got no doubts about my investigation or its findings. So that automatically qualifies me for being covered by the law that protects me through an investigation. The only thing that he didn't actually believe was that the right, that immunity exists. He didn't believe that immunity exists when he knows immunity exists because they have assisting offenders and they have witness immunity and various other immunities, which is, it's casework immunity on the side that's bringing the case. Same with inquiry. So it clearly does exist. It strongly exists, and there's no contest about the right existing. So all it matters for qualifying for the protection of the right is that you were doing what you say you were doing, and you actually are involved in an investigation and doing petitioning, which the judge said I was. So that actually qualifies me for it. So to prove the right, I don't need to prove the right because the right is known. You don't need to prove the actual right. So that's it with this. I still think this is photoshopped here, and we know they've had it in software, and they completely lied about the direction. It's just not, you wouldn't have gone that way, the way that it's set up with cones like this. You wouldn't have even attempted it. You would wait until after.